Terry Healey is a 40-year survivor of cancer and lives with a permanent facial reminder after undergoing over 30 surgeries. At just 21, he was diagnosed with a rare and life-threatening cancer that clearly impacted him but could not stop him. Today, he's a successful author and speaker helping others overcome their own challenges. And he's written a book, The Resilience Mindset, which talks about how he rebuilt his life. Terry Healey, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ken. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Terry. Tell us what happened back when you were 21.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer. I was very fortunate that they got the right diagnosis. It took a while, but we got it. Initially, it was really not that big of a deal. I thought they caught it early, but about 6 months later, when I was a junior at UC Berkeley, this bump reformed behind my right nostril. And ultimately, what happened was it resulted in the removal of half of my nose, the shelf of my right eye, the muscle and bone from my right cheek, part of my upper lip, part of my hard palate, and six of my teeth. And I woke up attached to my chest because they had transplanted a full thickness skin graft from my chest to fill in this cavity. So I had gone from easy street, living this easy life, to suddenly feeling like I was the Elephant Man.
Oh, they literally your face was attached to your chest. How long did that last? And how do you survive? How do you live like that?
3 weeks in the hospital. The reason they don't do that procedure anymore, Ken, but back then they did. It was also called a Bicangian flap, but they basically it's a full thickness skin graft. It needs 3 weeks to create its own blood supply in the donor site. So that's the way they did it back then.
And we forget skin is a living organ. It's a living tissue. We
Yep.
just think of it as a covering, like it's a blanket, but there's blood supply. Those cells are alive. And that's the only way, I guess, at the time they were able to keep it alive. Thank God we have different
Yep.
techniques now, but wow, God bless you. I don't know. I think that would have driven me more insane than anything else. You say that, right? Really? I mean, the thought, because I'm claustrophobic and just the idea of being confined in
Yeah.
any way drives me nuts. You've said the cancer was a gift in disguise. What did you mean by that?
I learned over time that my adversity was a blessing in so many ways. It took a while. I had to kind of rebuild myself. But what I learned over time was that there's three main things that you get from a major adversity like I had, right? You basically gratitude, empathy, and life perspective. And what I mean by gratitude is when you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, okay, this is what happened to me, but there's so many other things that could have happened. There's so many things I'm grateful for. And one of the great blessings with a huge adversity is that you do find a new purpose and you become more empathetic. And that empathy helped drive my new purpose, which was to help others struggling with challenges in their own life, people that were dealing with similar situations to mine who just couldn't see a way out. So, blessed in many ways. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I'll tell you, I wouldn't trade it either.
Well, to have that circumstance presented must be so challenging, but having somebody tell you, "No, no, no, I made it through where you are. There is another side." That's the only way I think anyone can survive, knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you
Yeah.
being the coach to help guide them through is just amazing. Now, you've had more than 30 surgeries. How did you stay so strong through that? And what do you mean by the resilience mindset?
Yeah. So, really quickly, to deal with it myself, I built what I call my survival kit, right? It consisted of a number of things, everything from my religious faith that gave me hope. I built a strong team of people around me. I was very focused and goal oriented. That began to set my confidence level in a new direction. I practiced mindful positivity, positive imaging and visualization. All those things help us, I think, find positivity and find confidence in our life going forward. The resilience mindset is really that we can all we all have the capacity to build resilience. We recover from our setbacks and we grow stronger from our experience. And so what I did over time as I was speaking to different audiences, I kept getting this feedback that, hey, we know your personal story. What you speak about is something you should put in a book, which is a rebar framework, which represents strength. And that
Right.
framework is designed to help others deal with adversity in their own life. And it's sort of a four-phase process to help others build resilience and gain confidence back.
So it's a four-step method, right, to face adversity, and this is how you teach people to be more resilient, right? So can you talk about the
Yeah.
4 steps?
Yeah. So the four steps are, it starts with reflect, then it's build, act, and renew. And if I touch on each one of those really quickly, Ken, so
Mhm.
reflect is about finding that 5 to 10 minutes a day to spend time starting with gratitude, being grateful for all the things you do have. When you start there, you actually find yourself in a positive space. And then basically you do an audit of your day. The idea is that you think about, did you learn anything? Were you inspired by anything? And if you were inspired by something, is there something that you can apply to your life tomorrow? You're not going to find an inspiration every single day, but if you're in the practice of it, good things start to come your way and you recognize things that happen because so much is being thrown at us every day. Build is really about the time that you begin to build a positive mindset and a growth mindset. That's when you focus on how you're going to find life balance, how you're going to identify your support system, and how you're going to choose positive because we all have a choice on our attitude. Act is really where the rubber meets the road, right? This is when we start to face our challenges. This is when we take control. And this is when we get focused and set goals. That's execution mode. That's where we start to change our lives. And then finally, renew is really the reinforcement of the entire process. It's the commitment to the process that says, let's step back and figure out what we learned from this process. What did we learn about ourselves? Celebrate your successes, figure out what you learned about the traits and characteristics that enabled you to get through this ordeal. And when you do that, that helps you start to recognize that you do have a lot of strengths. That helps you rebuild confidence. And the idea there is that we always want to strive to become a better version of ourselves so that when that next adversity hits, which it inevitably will, we're better prepared to handle it the next time. So that's kind of the four-step process.
If you could, what would today's Terry Healey tell a 21-year-old Terry Healey?
I would say embrace change and don't fear it, don't run away from it. Every change that I've ever encountered in my life, professional, personal, has brought me to a richer, better place in my life. So a lot of people, I've worked in large companies and startups, and change is constant, right? And people really fear it. They don't like uncertainty. But I will tell you that maybe things don't go in a straight line like this. They might have little bumps in the road, but I would say over time, change is inevitably going to help you find a new place, a better place, and you'll be grateful for it eventually.
What's a website for people to get the book or get more information?
Yeah, it's terryhealy.com. And you can find everything about my books, my speaking, resources to help other people deal with their own adversities.
Again, the book is called Resilience Mindset, author, cancer survivor, and thriver, Terry Healey. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story this morning.
Thanks so much for having me this morning, Ken. I appreciate it.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.